A lot of people, rightfully so, were disappointed when they got the news yesterday that the Nintendo Wii U and 3DS eShops are coming to a close. Officially, Nintendo announced that late March 2023, the shops are just closed for good. There's some important dates during this year as well, having to do with how you add money and your wallet and that kind of stuff. We talked about that all yesterday, but I was just really thinking about this, looking at people's comments and, seeing the disappointment. Some people saying, hey, who cares, man? Like, we just, homebrew our systems and download whatever the hell we want. And, Nintendo, they've been pretty relentless about that kind of stuff. Like, they're one of the biggest companies that go after, all these, like, hacks and stuff, and websites that are hosting things. And, it's within their right to. But they also, at the same time, a lot of people look at this like they don't treat their franchises with respect. And then, hand in hand, they're not treating their fans with respect by doing these kind of things. Do you remember, like, Sony, they announced that they were going to be closing the PS3 and Vita, stores, and they got a lot of pushback, and they kind of, backtracked on that. Like, hey, it's going to continue operating. We're sorry. Like, we understand what the fans want type of thing. We're going to keep that live. And, Microsoft, they've done a decent job with, keeping their shops up and, having games available. Of course, there's always weird things that happen, games that are pulled down and, removed from digital storefronts and whatnot. But with the Wii U and the 3DS, there's quite a bit. I recently was, like, digging through the Wii U eShop here and, looking at stuff like that Wario and Game and Wario. That game is $30 on the eShop. It's not a download-only game, but if you want that game physical, if you want a legit copy of that game, good freaking luck, dude. That game is going for like $150, $200 in the secondary market, as I guess maybe it was just a very small print run of it. Maybe when it came out, things were dwindling down. I don't know the full story, but that's an expensive game. Not a special edition. It's just a normal release that has been going for a lot of money for a while now. Other people brought up with the 3DS stuff like Yokai Watch 3. Yokai Watch 3, which I do own that game. One of my kids is really into Yokai Watch, and when you have kids, you kind of get into the same stuff they find out about. Like, he was in Yokai Watch, so I was all about it too. I remember buying him all the toys of Yokai Watch at Toys R Us, the little medals and the watches and all that stuff, and he got into the games. And Yokai Watch 3 was one where it was kind of later in the life cycle of the 3DS. And even then, right when it came out, like, you couldn't find it. And then if you could find it, people were selling it for like $80, $100. Like, now it's going for a bit more than that. And it's kind of ridiculous. But your only chance to get it legit is to get it on the eShop, right? Download it that way if you're fine with digital instead of physical. But, going through like the Wii U eShop, there's like eShop exclusives. There's really not a ton here. But there is a lot of stuff like that Game and Wario where it's like, there's no other way to get it legit for a reasonable price. If it's like $30 here or $150 out there, it's like, what do you do? You just homebrew your system, download the game, whatever. I mean, that's one of the options a lot of people are going to be up for. You go through the eShop exclusives, and I saw this RC Madiax, like a little small-time developer. They have a shit ton of games up on here. My God, all like $1.50. I mean, I don't know nothing about those games. I don't want to knock them, but seeing the reviews and whatnot kind of seems a little shovelware-ish, but I don't know for sure. But you start going through this, and you will start finding a few things that you're like, shit, this is gonna be lost forever. Luckily, a few games have been like ported to the Switch and whatnot. And they're available out there or for other consoles and all that good stuff. But really, I mean, it's not just like, hey, these little exclusive games like Dr. Luigi, like, if you want that legit, you're going to have to get it. That is one game that, is going to be lost to time. According to videogamechronicle.com, they analyzed all this and they found that it's going to be like over 1,000 digital only games that are lost. And sure, some of them are going to be like, whatever, shovelware type stuff. But then there's going to be things that people really like enjoyed or didn't discover at first. Like Pokemon Rumble U will be lost. That, Dr. Luigi, all that kind of stuff. They list a little list: Affordable Space Adventures, Amiibo Tap Nintendo's Greatest Hits, Chasing Aurora, The Letter, Mini Mario and Friends Amiibo Challenge, Pokemon Rumble U, Pushmo World, Shut the Box. Like, there's a handful of stuff that has like a little cult following, very like high, reviews and whatnot. A lot of people enjoyed them, that kind of thing. That's just gonna be lost. It's just gonna be lost, and it's just unfortunate because any kind of pushback people give Nintendo, how often has Nintendo said, you know what, let's listen to the community, let's make these changes, or let's backtrack on something that we decided to do? Doesn't happen very often, man. The freaking more expensive Switch Online expansion pack, a lot of people, spoke out against it, pushed back. Nintendo didn't budge on it, and I kind of figured they wouldn't, because a lot of people just paid for it anyway. If you're going to pay for it, that's cool. If you're not, that's cool. But, one of the big things is going to be these virtual console games, which is part of the thing that I'm talking about with, respecting their franchises, the properties, and old school gaming in general. Because a lot of this stuff's not theirs, obviously. You got TurboGrafx 16, which I kind of wish was like listed on the main page. Because yesterday when I looked at this, TurboGrafx isn't there. But you'll find a bunch of other stuff in here that if you want to get in on it, a few bucks, whatever, and you want to be legit with your retro gaming, all these retro games can be played on like a Raspberry Pi, like, pretty much anything out there. Like, they're not the most demanding games. It's like Nintendo 64 and a little beyond that you start like having where, okay, I need to really dig into emulating this stuff. But anything, under Nintendo 64, even with PlayStation 1, like, very easy to emulate and get that stuff going. But some people, they want to have just, access to these in a legit way. And it just doesn't happen with Nintendo, because what's their plan with all this stuff? Anything that they still have rights to, or they can put out there, which mostly going to be their stuff, first party titles, anything else that's through another company, Ubisoft, Konami, all that. Obviously they would have to have, deals with them, but it's not like, you go on here, you buy Bomberman 64 for $10. As long as you don't ever kill your Wii U or it doesn't die, you have that game. Like, it's there. You own the access to it. There's nothing other than an act of Odin that destroys your shit and you no longer have it. You know what I mean? The system dies, whatever, right? I don't know for how long Nintendo will support, like, putting your account back on your Nintendo Network ID, transferring it to another console that you find out there. Who knows how long they'll continue doing that. But as long as you have it, you have it. Switch Online, with the retro gaming stuff, it's a subscription service that you're renting the games. Is there value there for people? Sure, there is. But when that comes to an end, as we're seeing with the Wii U and 3DS, anything that's accessible through there, it's coming to an end. It's gone. Same thing will eventually happen to the Nintendo Switch. It'll just be gone and you won't have access to it. And the stuff that you couldn't own through the Switch, like the Switch Online service stuff, the NES, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Nintendo 64, you're not going to have access to that unless they change something. But it seems like that's the way they want to go about it, is just renting access. You have a subscription fee. It's the same thing if, you pay for Netflix. You don't own any of those movies or shows, and you lose access once you stop paying for it. I understand the idea. It's a very lucrative business. Instead of giving you something, let me have a membership and allow you access to it. And, we're not going to see a lot of this stuff come back, I would imagine. So it's like, grab it now or emulate it, homebrew, whatever your choice is. To me, it doesn't freaking matter. It's just, realizing how disappointing it is to see, like, there's certain things, like on the original Wii, like, there's so many games. And I did a video recently on the Rebirth stuff from Konami, the Contra Rebirth, Castlevania, all that good stuff. And it's just like, you can't get it in a legit way at all. You can't get it. Not legit. You could homebrew your system and add it, download the WAD files and install it to your system. Then it's like you have it. You do have it at that point. And I see people out there all the time. And especially like the way I present things, like with the Nintendo Switch, not necessarily present things, but explain how I am with certain things. Like the Switch, I won't hack it, I won't homebrew it, I won't do none of that shit till it's like end of life cycle. But I don't care about if people do mess with it. It's just my personal choice. But anything that's past its life cycle, it's free game, man. And then it's even more free, game once you do stuff like this. You close the shop and it's no longer accessible. Yeah, of course. There's going to be games people discover at some point that they can only play on that system, and it's not available anywhere else, like the Wii Rebirth stuff I'm talking about. And how else are you going to get it? Like, seriously, if the Wii store was still accessible to buy games, those Rebirth games that I demonstrated in video the other day, I'm not sure how much they originally went for, maybe like $8 or $10, I don't know. I would have paid that money. I'm just being honest with you. Yeah, the Wii is way past its life cycle, but if I was able to access that store and go on there and just buy those games and add it to my Wii now, I would have done it. I would have paid you the money happily. Maybe not happily, begrudgingly, knowing that I could just add them for free. But if it was there, I would have just spent the money and bypassed hacking my system. You know what I mean? And there's going to be people who think the same as me, other people who don't, and that's fine. Like, there's no right or wrong with it, but it just, there's going to be so much that, like, you don't like money? Like, how much does it cost to keep this stuff up? You know what I mean? And it's crazy. I'm just wanted to talk about it. Like, not, didn't really plan exactly how I was going to do this video. Just want to talk about it a little more so to, like, get conversation rolling. I like to see what you guys got to say and interact with your thoughts and opinions. So let me know down below what you're feeling on this. You fine with it? You don't give a shit? I mean, some people won't, and that's fair. Some people care. Some people don't. It's not the end of the world. Just the end of the Nintendo Wii U and 3DS eShop. Appreciate you guys. Bye.